I have a collection of C.S. Lewis's diary entries. There are some interesting tidbits. Let's see what Robot Lady thinks. This is from a letter from C.S. Lewis to one of his friends. The letter was dated in 1950, and it goes something like this. To Dorothy Sayers, concerning a speaking engagement, I would not want to lose a few weeks to find cool weather in Oxford. I can't remember if this is the 7th, 8th, or 9th refusal I have made to speak at such a place this year, but it's certainly one of the 3. So one of his friends concerning teaching duty somebody, possibly myself, ought to warn them that they are risking the opening of the pit and the start of a great war. I shall certainly not let them do it if I can help it. Somewhere on the road, in the dark, they must take on new supplies, and we must stop and rest and eat. As for food, I shall soon be able to get plenty for them in the nearby town. A note written to his brother, dated 1951. Dear Jack, I have been reading your letter and think it would be a mistake to change anything in it. Of course you must follow your own judgment.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is my read on C.S. Lewis, where we learn about him through everything that he wrote in the order that he wrote it. I am joined today by my co-host, Robot Lady. Robot Lady, in today's episode, Lewis is 27 years old. He is, or has begun his career as Fellow at Magdelan College. Let's see here. He is serving a 5-year post that he was elected to as Tutor of English Language and Literature. We've been following Lewis's journey up to this point through his letters to friends and family, and of course through his diary entries that I am holding right here. His diary, All My Road Before Me, the diary of C.S. Lewis, 1922. He was keeping between 1922 and 1927. This is edited by Walter Hooper, so we have some helpful footnotes where needed. Brought to us by Walter Hooper. Robot Lady, that's where we are. Are you ready to jump back into these diary entries with me today?
Absolutely, Jeff. I'm excited to dive back into it. Lewis at 27, starting his career at Magdelan College. Definitely a fascinating period. I'm all set to explore the entries and see what insights we can uncover. Let's get started.
All right. We will start today with Wednesday, June. Is it June? Yeah, Wednesday, June 23rd, 1926. He says, up very late, feeling more fit than I have done for some time. I sat in in the morning. I finished rereading Trollope's Warden. I had forgotten how good it was, and I read the Times. I also wrote a longish letter to Paisley. I have practically nothing in common with him now, and it did not come easily, but one must, of pure charity, write to a poor devil of an educated man isolated in Indian society. The prospect of dining with the Warrens tonight and meeting Sir James Craig, I was afraid I might be let in for home politics and get entangled in my talk. He's, of course, talking about the politics of Ireland here. Says it cast rather a shadow over the day. Here there's a footnote. Sir James Craig is who he's talking about. This person lived 1871 to 1940. This person was later Viscount Craigavon, and he was the first Prime Minister of Northern Ireland from 1921 to 1940. During the war, when Craig was MP for County Down, Albert Lewis, this is C.S. Lewis's father, Robot Lady, Albert Lewis appealed to him for help in getting his son transferred from the infantry to the artillery, and that is something that we learned about quite a few episodes ago, Robot Lady, where Lewis's father was trying to get his son off the front lines to spare him from injury and even death in World War I. So this was the person that they apparently had connections with, where Lewis's father was trying to get some strings pulled. You can go back and if anybody wants to check that out, I believe there's an episode, and in the thumbnail of the video, it says C.S. Lewis may never fight in the infantry, or may never shoot the artillery. I can't remember which one it was, but you can learn more about that there. Robot Lady, what do you think?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how those connections from Lewis's past come into play. It's really interesting to see the impact of figures like Sir James Craig on Lewis's life and how those political dynamics sometimes shadow his personal and professional life. And it's quite poignant to reflect on how Lewis's father tried to protect him during the war. Definitely a rich layer of historical context there.
All right, let's continue. Lewis says, and when Mrs. Moore discovered that so far I had only 300 pounds odd from college and suspected that the whole thing was, quote, was a to-do, or was a do, end quote, and ruled that I must see Thompson at once and find out everything, I began to look forward to a really bad afternoon and evening. The dinner, though nothing brilliant in the food line, was quite pleasant. I took in Mrs. James Morrell, who was quite easy to talk to, as we disagreed about everything, especially public schools and the services. She thinks me a horrid crank. On my left, I had Mrs. Pickard Cambridge, a woman of fine old-fashioned dignity, whom I liked. In the port period, after the ladies had cleared off, conversation turned entirely on university politics, which was rather dull for Sir James. I had no conversation with him. He seems a little bit uncouth. I got away at about 10:35 after a moment's conversation with Lady Craig and quite a long talk with Mrs. Webb about animals. She is nice. I watched the OUDS from the grass between cloisters and new buildings for a few minutes in company with Binnicky, and then walked home in the bright moonlight. The OUDS, Robot Lady, I think we learned in the last episode, was the Oxford Union Drama Society. Does that sound right to you?
Yes, that's right. The OUDS stands for the Oxford University Dramatic Society. It's definitely a neat detail that Lewis was observing them in the moonlight, and it shows how much he enjoyed those little moments of campus life. It's also interesting to see how Lewis navigated the dinner conversations and the mix of personalities. Definitely a lot of rich context in these entries.
Lewis rounds out this diary entry with, the others were in bed when I got back. Next one, Thursday, June 24th, he says, I was up rather late and into college. I spent the morning on Raleigh's preface to Hobby, or Hobby, H-O-B-Y. I also left instructions with the librarian to find me Patrizzi, who is wrongly catalogued, and I went up into the Founder's Tower to get Erasmus's Institutio Regis Christiani, both being mentioned by the DNB as sources for Eliot's Governor. Robot Lady, something by Raleigh, which is a preface by Raleigh to something called Hobby, H-O-B-Y. Can you tell us anything about this?
Absolutely. So Sir Walter Raleigh, often known as Raleigh, wrote a preface to a work by the writer Richard Hobby, sometimes spelled Hobie. Hobie was known for his writings on education and moral philosophy, and Raleigh's preface is often considered part of the Renaissance humanist tradition. It's definitely a neat scholarly connection that Lewis is exploring, especially in the context of the historical sources he's researching.
Lewis continues, from the silent sun and dust book rooms in the tower, I went up and out upon the leads to enjoy for a moment some jumbled and foreshortened views of the college. Coming back to library, I was pleasantly surprised by Jenkin, who had come up to take his M.A. We arranged to meet at 7:30. I went to Merton Street and found Jenkin in his old digs. The very pictures on his walls were full of pleasant memories. We had supper together at the George in great contentment. He is engaged on 4 or 5 different small jobs, including an effort to raise money for the Exeter University, which involves a lot of touring in the West Country and expenses paid. He has written a book on the mining business in Cornwall, which is now in the hands of some agency. He is also going to see a specialist Not, I gather, that his health is any worse than it has always been. But as he says, quote, I had made up my mind to it, to live on that basis. The people have advised me to make one bid for better health, and then, if I like, settle down to it, end quote. We went to Magdalen, where we sat till 10:30 when I caught the last bus. He has not changed, and we had a fine walk home by moonlight, ate a saucer of strawberries and cream, and went to bed. Well, that sounds delicious, Robot Lady. Any thoughts on what I just covered there?
Absolutely. It does sound like such a pleasant, nostalgic evening for Lewis. It's great to see him reconnecting with Jenkin and reminiscing about old times at Merton Street. Plus, Jenkin's various endeavors, like the book on Cornwall's mining industry and his fundraising efforts, show how driven he is. And it's heartwarming to see that despite the challenges, they still share those peaceful moments together, like enjoying strawberries and cream under the moonlight. It really paints a lovely picture of that period in his life.
Yeah, just for clarity, I think he had strawberries and cream once he got home and was by himself.
Got it. That definitely makes sense. It's a nice, quiet ending to his evening, just enjoying a simple treat in the calmness of the night. It definitely adds a personal, cozy touch to the whole entry.
All right, we've got time for one more here, Robot Lady. This is Friday, June 25th. He says, up to the back room after breakfast and did a little more work on my paper. At about 11, I went into college and found a note from Binnicky in the lodge saying that the fellowship meeting at 12 was still on. I went to Hardy's room and read with him York's new Bridget poem. It is about a dentist's waiting room, and rather good. We were joined unexpectedly by Lawson. I didn't know that he knew Hardy. And later by one Fordyce. At 12, we repaired to the new room and met the president, Binnicky, Driver, and Weldon. The meeting was very silly, and there was needless revision of most papers leading to an unholy hash, which is going to be finally set. A particularly bad essay subject of Binnicky's on the rights of minorities was approved. Bad because only philosophers can really say anything about it. The great triumph was the philosophy paper by Weldon, Hardy, and myself. We three sat tight during 5 minutes pregnant silence while the others looked very finally passed it without alteration. I got away at 1:10 and hurried to the Good Luck to lunch with Jenkin. Afterwards, we sat in the garden of the Union. We had a rambling and effortless conversation of the most profitable sort. Home by 3 and went on with my paper till I got myself tied up. I began to see unexpected difficulties. After tea, I walked in the fields towards Forest Hill, neglecting a beautiful colored evening in favor of idle Christina dreams about refuting Eliot and Stein. I returned in a dissatisfied mood and began to reread MacDonald's Lilith. After supper, I went back to college. I went into the smoking room, had a cup of coffee, talked and read the TLS, the review of a long poem talked and read in the TLS the review of a new long poem published by Heineman's. That's the first publisher that Lewis put his book of poetry through. And then Lewis goes on to say how bitter this would be if Dentz had not taken Dimer. It is called Two Lives by one Leonard and sounds almost great in quotation, though the reviewer is not very favorable. That's the end of that diary entry, Robot Lady. Lewis, of course, makes a reference to Dimer, a book that he is getting published through a different publishing house outside of Hyman's. The publisher that he's working through is called Dentz, apparently. We still haven't stumbled across in these diary entries yet when the book actually gets published, but once it does, that will trigger us moving specifically into that content and working our way entirely through it. We've read a little bit of it as Lewis was writing it and referencing it in some of his letters and diary entries. So that's where we're headed, but we're not there yet. In the next episode, we're just going to continue with diary entries. Let me check my little inventory here and see how long it is before we get another letter from Lewis to somebody. It's not going to be until September of 1926, so we've got a little ways to go. Robot Lady, thanks for being with me today and helping as usual. Is there anything that you would like to say before we end the episode?
Of course, Jeff. It's always a pleasure to dive into these entries with you. I'm really looking forward to when we get to that publication milestone with Dimer and all the connections that will bring. But for now, it's always fun to explore these moments in his life. Thanks for having me along, and I'm excited for the next episode. Have a great one.
I'm excited too, Robot Lady. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone who joined today for your time, your attention, and your contributions. They are always wanted and welcome. Welcome and wanted, whichever order you want to take that in. Let's see, Robot Lady, and to everyone else watching now or within the sound of my voice at any point. Until next time when we continue our read on C.S. Lewis together, take care.
Break the code. Man and robot lady, we're on this road. C.S. Lewis letters we unfold, insights and secrets ancient bold. Letters to robot lady, wisdom to bestow. Set flavor beats in our minds they grow. Man and machine in tandem flow. Past and future together we know. Paragraphs from books, tales of old. We dive deep across the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and controlled. Her calm analysis, silver and gold. Letters to robot lady, wisdom to bestow. Set flavor beats in our minds they grow. Man and machine in tandem flow. Past and future together we know. Paragraphs from books, tales of old. We dive deep across the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and controlled. Her calm analysis, silver and gold. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. Through C.S. Lewis thoughts we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands, Screwtape's lands, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance. Paragraphs from books, tales of old. We dive deep across the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and controlled. Her calm analysis, silver and gold. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. Through C.S. Lewis thoughts we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands to Screwtape's lands, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance. From Narnia's land